Here he is from New York, that Kevin McCullough.
Welcome back. Kevin McCullough, Times Square, New York. Glad to have you with us. And we frequently discuss some of the headier, weightier things of what government is going to be doing, especially in the new administration as the transition to a new government continues. One of the really amazing American unique aspects is that we transition power peacefully from one administration to the next every 4 years, and it is a sight to behold. Mike Falkender is the former assistant secretary to the Treasury on economic policy for Trump 1.0. Michael has not been tapped yet for Trump 2.0, but who knows? That could come down any minute now as we're watching these nominations continue to be put forward at a torrid pace. I mean, this is really record-setting stuff when you think about it. But let's welcome in Michael back to the broadcast. Mike, good to see you again. Thanks for being here. Of course, your day job right now is the American First Policy Institute.
That's right. Chief economist here, working with Larry Kudlow and the team we have here to recognize what kind of economic policies that the next America First administration should implement, and advising the incoming transition team on some of the things they might do to get the economy back to the way we had it prior to the pandemic.
Well, I got to tell you, over the last 4 years, AFPI became my number one go-to think tank resource. There've been lots of people in Washington that have done a good job on different policy for a long time, but I think the thing that they were all missing was that overarching Trump unique perspective, which was if we don't put America first, we have no business doing what we're doing. And I think that a lot of the bloat, I'm just going to use that word for it, in Washington, D.C. has come from this kind of forever thinking that we're just going to always have the same programs and positions and spots to fill and everything else. And this administration, I think one of the things that has really excited people my age, but even the younger generation than me, is that Washington, D.C. is going to look significantly different when Trump 2.0 is done. And Michael, let's talk a little bit about what that's going to look like from just economic policy. How will the new Treasury Department operate compared to the one that's there presently?
Yeah, so I think the most important thing that the next administration is going to do is focus on energy dominance. So that while that won't be headquartered per se out of Treasury, you know, what the president ran on was getting affordability back to the American people. And so the Treasury Secretary is the chief economic officer of the nation. And one of the things that we have been advocating here at AFPI is that because energy costs permeate the entire economy, they impact the cost of manufacturing, the cost of transportation, the cost of just heating and cooling our homes and offices. All of the inflation that we have seen, a significant portion of it is coming from the fact that energy prices have gone up so much. And so everything we can do at Treasury, or everything the incoming administration can do at Treasury to help bring down energy prices, and on the Treasury side, what that means is taking another look at the way that they implemented the Inflation Reduction Act. So the parts of it that survive any kind of legislative activity that will happen upon the president coming into office and the new Congress, you know, they took an approach in implementing it that, as you used, it really, the best word to describe it is bloat. They took a set of tax credits and did as much as they can to really impose things like electric vehicles on the entire population that are expensive, that the American people don't want, and that was done through the tax code. And that's where Treasury comes into play. So while a lot of energy dominance is going to be over in the Energy Department and the Interior Department and the EPA, Treasury has a very important tax role to play. And on the energy side, it's things like tax credits for different energy sources. And you have seen the Biden administration really focus not just on moving us away from fossil fuels, low-cost, reliable sources of energy through the tax code, but I guess the other place that Treasury plays a really big role is in the banking sector. And they have made it more and more difficult for our nation's banks to lend to fossil fuels, whether it be exploration and production, whether it be refining, whether it be the sales of it at the local gas pump. we have got to get energy prices down so that we can bring down the price of everything else. And so Treasury, through the implementation of the tax code and making available credit for the private sector to once again innovate and lower costs, those are really, I think, the things that the next Treasury Secretary is going to focus on.
I can't tell you how much you're singing my song, and it's not just because I'm a very, 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 very minor partner in a domestic energy company, but this is the salve for the economic woes that have beset us for the last 4 years. And I don't know, I just stumbled across it last night, but I don't know if people have seen this new show called Landman. It's not a kid-friendly show. It's for adults. It's on Paramount. But last night, Billy Bob Thornton's character had a soliloquy about the importance of fossil fuels that I have not heard in American entertainment anywhere, just how vital they are to everything that we do. And when the previous administration basically, in essence, declared war on them and everything we could do to try to maximize them. And Michael, it's not like we're Venezuela or China. We're not digging this stuff up in the dirtiest way possible. We're doing everything in light of everything that we know about the environment and can do with the environment. We're doing it in the cleanest, most efficient ways that it's being done on planet Earth. But we were the bad guys because we wanted to have inexpensive, abundant energy at our resources. And that is the key to society's breaking through and becoming next level in terms of everyone prospering even more.
That's absolutely right. If you look at the things in human history that have done more to lower global poverty, it is free market capitalism and it is access to low-cost, reliable sources of energy.
Yep.
And as you just said, this idea that we're going to cede all of this activity to the Chinese and the Venezuelans. Remember, when the people on the left sit there and say, oh, we don't want to do that activity here in the United States because it's going to have environmental impact, they're kind of presuming that it's therefore not going to happen. That's false. It is going to happen. It's going to happen in other places around the world. So, like oil and gas.
Yeah, dirty little secret, AOC. In the 4 years your dude was on duty, we used more oil and gas than we did when Trump was there. And
that's right.
Globally. And because we weren't supplying a bunch of it, that means dirty sources got used more.
And so you think about all of that requires refining. We are not expanding refining capacity here in the United States. Where are they refining capacity? It's China. Does anybody believe that the refined oil and gas coming out of Chinese refineries is more environmentally friendly than what we would do here in the United States? So exporting that economic activity, exporting those jobs, exporting that wealth, and in the process making the environment worse, not better, it's entirely the opposite of what the left would have you believe, and that's why it was rejected by the American people.
Yeah,
But before we go on from energy, let me also just say, if we are going to realize the innovation from artificial intelligence, that requires a lot of energy. And that means that any new renewables that are brought online must be additive. They are not going to replace the energy we get from oil and gas. They are going to add to it because our energy needs are growing, not shrinking.
He's Michael Falkender, former Assistant Secretary to the Treasury for Economic Policy for the first Trump administration. He is now with America First Policy Institute, watching some of the same issues and advising the transition team currently. When we come back, we're going to talk more about what the appointment to the Treasury means for Mr. Bessent and also Mr. Wright over at Energy. Stay with us.
Stick around for more of That Kevin next.
That Kevin Show.